To learn more. Pacific Mornings.
It's 12 minutes past 8 o'clock now on this beautiful Wednesday. Te ao manuia, my friends. Welcome back to Pacific Mornings. You are here with Producer Levi this morning. We did talk about it earlier, saying a little bit Mickey Mouse. We're jumping from this host to that host. But that's all good. My next guest reckons he could be Donald Duck for us. So I like that. I like that a lot. Hey, look, it's a big week for rugby league fans with Game 2 of State of Origin tonight. Keen as for that. But we also want to know how the sport is progressing here at home. Joining us now is the Chief Executive of Wellington Rugby League, Whittaker, to give us an update on the local league development and share his origin predictions. Looking forward to hearing that as well. Kia ora, Andre. Thank you for joining us this morning. How are you, my friend?
Oh, very well. Kia ora to you, Levi, and all the PI audience this morning. Good to be able to have a chat.
Yeah, man. And I do appreciate you being Donald Duck for us as well. That's always nice, man.
yeah. Look, we can do anything. It's all Disney. It's all Disneyland. So
easy, man. Andre, really keen to have this talk. Of course, we'll get into Origin and all those cool things, man. But it's cool to be able to see what's going on, I guess, on the local scene in terms of our sport. And I know that you're like right there in the thick of it all. So, Andre, I'm wondering if you could give us an update, first of all, with Wellington Rugby League, how it's tracking this season. And I'm wondering if there are any standout developments or challenges that has sort of come your way in 2025.
Yeah, sure. Look, as far as the game, look, we're into a 5-year strategic plan, and if we look at things like numbers as an indication of how we're going, that's looking very strong. We've actually doubled the numbers of participation over the last 4 years. We did come off a low base. You know, the game had gone through some pretty hard times. Participation numbers dropped right off, and that sort of thing. So we've managed to stabilise that and get growth. Look, I think for this year, one of the standout things for us is the development of an under-14s pod, which is player on development. Our representative brand is the Orcas. So bringing through young players, we had 60 trained in the off-season, 30 boys, 30 girls, and they're the future of our game, and taking them through fundamental skill development. Also associated that with we're the coaches. So, you know, one of the key challenges for us is bringing back the fundamental skills into the game, and that's got to start with the young people. So not only in terms of skills, but also off-field well-being workshops. They're the future of their game, and for this year, I would say that's a really big win for us. And in terms of youth development, we've gone from having only 2 youth pathways to now having 10. So those are the big things, is making sure the future of our game is sound.
Yeah, one of the things that I know is key over there in Aussie footy is their development section. You know what I mean? Like these guys, when you're looking at these Origin teams, or you're looking at Australian Rugby League in general, what they're going through at a young age already in development seems to be a key focus. So I am keen to look a little bit more into that with the junior development, and that being a key focus. How are the youth programs progressing? I know that when we look at basketball, even football here, they're attracting more Pacific players. I'm wondering if it's had an impact on participation on Pacific talent coming through in your region.
Yeah, most definitely. In terms of the development programs, we punch above our weight, I'd have to say. We send under 16s, under 18s, boys and girls teams to national tournaments, and invariably they do very well. And having success in winning tournaments or being right there amongst the finals. In terms of the youth development, there's a lot happening. We'll be taking a team to a Canterbury national tournament in September. As far as Pacifica involvement in Wellington, look, 46%, so just almost half of our registered numbers declare themselves as Pacifica.
Wow.
So that's huge. And we're seeing role models in terms of, firstly, young players that have come through, sticking with youth. You know, players like Alexis Taone'ai, who played for Wainua Mara, was in the Orcas under-18s team, is now playing for the Dragons in the women's NRL. Jacob Laban, who we'll see, came through the Aotearoa club as a junior player and now at the Warriors. And Maui Patalesio Winitana, you know, mentioning other Pacific people, again in the Warriors development program. And they come straight out of our game here in Wellington. But I think also it's role models around, if we mention at least 46% are Pacific people in our game, it's also our leaders, like our top women's coach, Aki Pereira of Tokelau descent, our head coach of the winning club side last year, Jimmy Samu was Samoan and Tokelau, our head Orcas coach, Damon Rongotawa, Cook Islander, our Wellington Rugby League patron. You know, we're very lucky to have Lua Manuval Dame Winnie Laban. The head of our referees, Sani Siu Manu Whangai, and leading our judiciary panel is Shane Laulu and Karen Sanganga. So these are all people that are of Pacific background. They're leaders, and they're role models for further Pacific development and participation in our sport.
Yeah, man, I'm aware of the reality of Pacific people, and a lot of the time there's those barriers like socioeconomic challenges when it comes to even just player participation or retention in the sport. Sometimes that's just got to do with costs, as easy as that, you know what I mean? What are some things that can be done or have been done to support these young talent in terms of those who are in disadvantaged communities?
Yeah, look, we don't escape the financial impacts like every other area of society, particularly in this kind of things like a shrinking job market. There's been funding cuts, and it is extremely difficult for our communities. If you then look at the overall cost of living that people face, so things that can be done. Firstly, it's a very challenging time. This is probably one of the most challenging times that I've had in the last 5 years in terms of financial and funding availability. Well, what seems to happen is our Pacific communities, they get together. If we think of away from sport, how our communities manage to pull funds, pull resources to support their whānau through many occasions, weddings, funerals, visitors, those sort of things. We see that kind of thing come into action with our Pacific people in rugby league. One of the things that needs to happen, though, there's been a huge decline in the amount of funding that's available. And so we do our part as Wellington Rugby League in terms of applying for funding, seeking funds from New Zealand Rugby League to support. But invariably, it's never enough, and we need to ask our Pacific communities to be part of contributing to that. And it's difficult. What I think needs to happen is the government investing more and recognising the role that grassroots sports plays in community development, and particularly for our Pacifica people. It's not just about turning up, playing, training, catching the ball, tackle, making a development pathway. Those are important things, and those are key motivators for people. But if you go to our Pacifica festivals, not only do you see the sport, you see generational interconnection. You hear the language being spoken around the grounds. You see elders at the grounds. You see a level of mana and respect that help build and create thriving communities. So what I'm seeing is the lack of government investment from places like Sport New Zealand, recognising that. The funding tends to go towards high performance. And while we hold up on a pedestal our players and coaches and managers, trainers who make it through to the top level, that's actually a small percentage of the overall community. So how do we make sure that the rest of the community can thrive? And I do think the government need to invest more in recognising the role that sport plays and not just getting people out and run around. And sport's important to our community for the things that I've mentioned above. And I guess we potentially don't have the same opportunities that other communities may have. Sport plays a big part in our lives.
So let's talk about some of the stuff that you do have, because I do like what you're saying there, and it's very true. And we do see, I guess, the result when we're looking at our older grades, you know what I mean, and some of the advantages that places like Australia would have compared to New Zealand. I'm wondering what are some of the supportive partnerships of Wellington Rugby League at the moment that maybe you guys have secured recently to help grow the game locally?
Yeah, we've been really fortunate to have some great partnerships in that way. If I can mention two or three of them. One is for our women's and wahine game with Mana Wahine, which is a women's community services health organisation which focuses on the well-being of women. And obviously, if we have healthy women, healthy mums, and we have the healthy families and healthy communities. So Mana Wahine contributed to our sport for our women's game last year and again this year. And it's not just in a financial way, but it's also providing resourcing around how our people can get support in terms of wahine health and health for our young girls. Obviously, a key to well-being is having a job and being able to get an income into the household. So we have a great partnership with Raranga Building Careers, which offers training and work pathways in the construction industry. So they've just come on board with us this year, and they're a great initiative that's between Ngāti Toa and Aotearoa McGuinness. And that's providing jobs for Pacifica, for Māori, for our community. And we've got a great commercial sponsorship with a vehicle dealership, LDV, motor vehicle dealership based in Ellistown, and they've provided us with a vehicle and resourcing and support so that we can, do some of the basics in the game, make sure we've got gear, make sure we can get things to the game. Those have been key things, and we've had over the years an association with the likes of Te Whatu Water district health boards, so that we're promoting health initiatives to our community. So really grateful. But those are three big ones: Mana Wahine, Raranga Building Careers, and LDV Motor Vehicle Dealership. Really, really proud to have them associated with our game.
Now, before we move into some Origin talk, my friend, you're actually quite a rare breed, a Pasifika Chief Executive in Sports Administration. So do you think being like a Pasifika CEO brings something unique to the role? How do you reckon your background kind of influences the way that you're leading to connect with the community?
Yeah, look, like many things that we as Pacific people do, we don't walk into the environment as an individual. We represent our families and our community. And I think having that understanding as a Pacifica leader helps you understand the way that our communities operate. I think also being of Pacifica background, and look, I mentioned again the 46% Pacific people, and some of the key leaders in our game are Pacific people. And I guess along with myself being Pacifica, what we bring are some of the things that we know what make Pacific communities thrive and tick. It's around understanding humility. It's around understanding the power of spirituality, whether that's in formal karakia, whether that's in whatever religious denomination you have. Our people are spiritual people, understanding the place that has in bringing our people together. And then understanding, to use the Samoan term, the fear, the fun. Often when I am together with other Pacific leaders, we're the ones that are laughing and having fun, and the kind of very serious looks, and which puts our people off. And they want to know they can engage with you. They want to know that yep, you'll get the job done, but you can also lighten up. And in our Pacific context, if they grab you up to speak or to perform, they know that you're willing and you're able to do that. So I think understanding some of those things are important aspects that a Pacific leader would bring to a CE role or any leadership position, particularly if you're dealing with Pacific people.
Bro, it's awesome to see you in that role, man. I love that someone like you can be the front runner of that, specifically for our Pacific talent, man. Now, switching up to the big game tonight, my friend. State Origin 2. It's do or die, of course, for the Blues, my friend. Look, they can either close the series out, or we can get Queensland come back and do what they do best, man. So what are your thoughts straight away? What do you think of the chances of Queensland sort of bouncing back and keeping the series alive?
Well, historically, if you look at the last 10 years, they've won 6 and New South Wales have won 4. So they've got the history behind them that shows that they know how to win and they know how to perform on a big day. But, you're only as good as your last game, as they say. And in the last game, obviously New South Wales winning that game 18-6, it was tight at half time. And Queensland were able to hold them off, but overall they struggled to get momentum. And I think the defence from New South Wales was incredible. They chased, they covered, they were committed. I just think of our Pacific players that are out there: Stephen Crichton, Payne Haas. For New South Wales, they were making the difference. I'm a staunch Queensland supporter.
Me too, bro.
And
No worries.
this goes back to the days of seeing Arthur Beetson as an Indigenous player,
Yep.
Mal Meninga as a Pacifica Vanuatu heritage player. When I saw them playing back in the 80s, I saw our people. So, but a reality shot is based on the last game. Well, it's going to be a tough ask for Queensland to get over New South Wales. It's doable, obviously. But going to be a tough ask for them, especially for those kind of players at New South Wales: Crichton, Haas, Brian To'o. They brought Jerome Luai back into the mix as well. So the cards are in their favour, I think, as much as I'm a Queensland supporter.
Yeah, man. Give the ball to Lenu, man, and let's see that Queensland defence line come up, eh?
Yeah, well, and look, a thing with the game is that it's the state of origin. There's nothing nothing tougher in rugby league, and it's faster than a normal NRL game. And the refs usually allow a bit more latitude with the physical, and there's a lot more attrition on the bodies. So, New South Wales seem to be able to be prepared for that a lot better than Queensland.
All right, well, before we finish up, my friend, your final prediction, who wins and by how much?
Yeah, look, I'd love Queensland to win, and but I think if they're going to match the physical that New South Wales will bring, they need to get in there and spoil it. And it's things like working hard from marker, stopping those runners getting momentum, frustrating them, making it hard for them to get up off the ground, and trying to put them off their game. But that's going to be tough work. But my final prediction, look, I'm going to go for New South Wales, as much as my Queensland background would normally go for them, and 22-12 is a score prediction that I go for.
Love that, man. Hey, look, thank you so much for joining the show this morning, my friend. That was Andre Whittaker, Chief Executive of Wellington Rugby League. Really appreciate your time this morning.
No, thank you. It's a pleasure to be on the show, and hope everyone gets to watch the game and support our local rugby league.
Yeah, man, love it.
Thank
Hey,
you.
look, if you've missed any part of that Talanoa,